Welcome to Global Watch. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world is holding its breath. In living rooms, cafes, and city squares, people are glued to their screens, searching for answers in a sea of uncertainty. The sense of unease is palpable, as if everyone is waiting for the next headline to change everything. Tonight, a dangerous drama unfolds across Europe's skies, echoing past conflicts and threatening future ones. The roar of military jets overhead and the wail of sirens in the night are grim reminders of a history many hoped was behind us. The specter of the Cold War, once thought to be relegated to the past, now looms large, casting a shadow over the present. The post-World War II order feels fragile. The question is no longer if a crisis will erupt, but when. Decades of diplomacy and hard-won peace seem to be unraveling, as old alliances are tested and the foundations of international cooperation begin to crack. The world watches as the institutions built to prevent another global catastrophe struggle to adapt to new threats. Russia's recent escalations against NATO are calculated probes, testing the alliance's unity and leadership. Each maneuver, each show of force, is a message, one that challenges the resolve of Western powers and seeks to exploit any sign of division. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is razor thin. The American security umbrella appears to be fraying, creating a vortex of instability. Once the unshakable guarantor of European security, the United States now faces questions about its willingness and ability to lead. Allies are anxious, adversaries emboldened, and the world wonders if the old order can hold. What happens in Poland or the Gulf of Finland ripples across the globe, challenging the principles that have kept Europe at peace for decades. The buildup of troops and the tense diplomacy in these regions are not just local issues, they are flashpoints that could ignite a much larger conflict. Every decision, every movement, is scrutinized by a world desperate to avoid another war. We are at a pivotal moment. Decisions made now will echo for generations. The pressure on world leaders is immense, as they weigh the risks of action against the dangers of inaction. The clock is ticking, and the choices before them will shape the future of not just Europe, but the entire world. The question is stark: is the Western alliance prepared for what comes next? As uncertainty deepens and the stakes grow ever higher, the world waits for answers. The coming days will test the strength of alliances, the wisdom of leaders, and the resilience of the international order itself. To truly understand today's crisis, we need to look back at the long, often fraught history between the United States and Russia. This relationship has been defined by moments of both cooperation and deep suspicion, shaped by shifting alliances, ideological battles, and global ambitions. From the uneasy partnership during World War II to the bitter rivalry that followed, the story of US-Russia relations is one of constant change and recurring tension. The Cold War era saw the world divided into two camps: American democracy versus Soviet communism. This wasn't just a battle of ideas. It played out in real conflicts across the globe, from Korea to Vietnam, and in a terrifying nuclear arms race that kept the world on edge for decades. Both sides built massive arsenals, and the threat of mutually assured destruction loomed over every decision. In 1949, the United States and its allies formed NATO, a military alliance designed to counter Soviet power and guarantee collective defense. This move was seen by Moscow as a direct threat, setting the stage for decades of military and political standoffs across Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the collapse of the Soviet Union brought a wave of optimism. Many hoped for a new era of partnership and peace. But as NATO expanded eastward, welcoming former Soviet states, Russia felt increasingly isolated and betrayed. The promise of cooperation faded, replaced by growing resentment and suspicion in Moscow. The rise of Vladimir Putin marked a turning point. Determined to restore Russia's influence, he challenged the West at every turn. The 2014 annexation of Crimea shocked the world, and the 2022 invasion of Ukraine reignited fears of a new Cold War. These actions shattered any remaining trust, and brought US-Russia relations to their lowest point in decades. In response, the United States led a united Western front, imposing sanctions and providing support to Ukraine. But now, in 2025, cracks are appearing in that unity. Political divisions, economic pressures, and shifting priorities are testing the strength of old alliances. The very foundations of US foreign policy, confidence in European security, and the reliability of alliances are now being openly debated. Some question whether America should continue to bear the burden of global leadership, while others warn of the dangers of retreat. Sensing opportunity, Russia is moving to exploit this dangerous void. Through military pressure, cyber attacks, and disinformation, Moscow is testing the resolve of the West, hoping to reshape the balance of power in Europe and beyond. Donald Trump's second term marked a seismic shift in U.S. foreign policy, sending shockwaves across the Atlantic. Support for Ukraine has evaporated, replaced by a transactional approach that treats allies and adversaries alike. After a failed peace effort, Trump made sanctions against Russia conditional on NATO's total oil embargo, a near impossibility. He's leveraging NATO for his trade war with China, forcing allies to choose between security and prosperity. Trump's rhetoric now echoes Moscow's, blaming previous U.S. leaders and Ukraine for the war, unsettling America's allies. The alliance's bedrock, mutual defense, suddenly feels uncertain. September 2025. Russia shifts from war in Ukraine to direct intimidation of NATO. Waves of cheap drones breach Polish airspace, targeting a key NATO logistics hub. Russian drones and jets violate Romanian and Estonian airspace, while airports in Oslo and Copenhagen are shut down. Moscow's message: Western assets are not off-limits. These calculated provocations probe NATO's weaknesses, normalizing aggression just below the threshold for a decisive response. It's classic gray zone warfare, hostile but designed to avoid triggering all-out conflict. In response to Russia's attacks, Poland and Estonia invoked NATO's Article 4, demanding urgent alliance consultations. This rare move exposed a dilemma. How does NATO counter cheap, asymmetric harassment without bankrupting itself? Firing million-dollar missiles at 10,000 euro drones is unsustainable, a fact Russia exploits. NATO now seeks a massive increase in air and missile defenses, while some nations adopt zero-tolerance shoot-down policies. Yet these efforts unfold under the shadow of American ambivalence. European leaders scramble to present unity, but U.S. silence breeds doubt. Allies wonder, will America back them, or are they on their own? This uncertainty is Russia's greatest weapon. Modern warfare has changed. Cheap drones now challenge billion-dollar defenses. Russia's drone swarms force NATO to burn through costly interceptors, creating chaos at minimal expense. The current model is unsustainable. Using a $4 million missile to down a $10,000 drone is a win for Moscow. Militaries are racing to develop cheaper countermeasures, lasers, agile missiles, layered defenses, but most are not yet ready. This window of vulnerability is being exploited. Russia's campaign is psychological as much as technological, aiming to erode NATO's credibility. Each unanswered incursion emboldens Moscow, raising the risk of escalation. The danger: a single miscalculation could turn gray zone conflict into open war. The crisis extends to the economic battlefield. Western sanctions once hit Russia hard, but cracks are showing as some EU states still import Russian oil. New EU sanctions target Russia's shadow fleet, but lack of US action blunts their impact. President Trump's focus is elsewhere, demanding NATO allies join his trade war with China, straining unity. This linkage of security and trade divides the alliance and distracts from confronting Russia. Economic uncertainty rattles markets and threatens energy security as winter looms. The West's fractured strategy gives Moscow room to maneuver. In crisis, predictability is vital, but today, US foreign policy is dangerously unpredictable. Russia's strategy is to probe for weakness, betting NATO won't act decisively without strong US leadership. Treating allies as transactional partners undermines trust and the very foundation of alliances. European leaders now openly question America's security guarantee. The risk of miscalculation is higher than ever. The mechanisms for de-escalation are weaker. Putin bets he can chip away at NATO's unity. Europe scrambles to compensate for US unpredictability. The Trump administration gambles it can reshape the global order without breaking it. The world is holding its breath, hoping these gambles don't end in catastrophe. We stand at a crossroads. September 2025 is a warning that global security is under immense strain. The world is shifting beneath our feet, and the challenges we face are more complex and interconnected than ever before. From the corridors of power to the streets of our cities, uncertainty and anxiety ripple through societies. The events of this year have underscored just how fragile peace can be, and how quickly the balance of power can tilt. Russia's aggression and America's ambiguity have created the most perilous moment for the alliance in a generation. The world watches as old rivalries resurface and new uncertainties emerge. The actions of these two powers reverberate far beyond their borders, sending shockwaves through the global order. Allies and adversaries alike are recalibrating their strategies, and the stakes have rarely been higher. NATO must invest in new defenses and show unified resolve, while keeping communication with Moscow open to avoid disaster. The alliance faces a critical test. Can it adapt to new threats while maintaining the unity that has defined it for decades? Dialogue, transparency, and readiness are essential to prevent misunderstandings from spiraling into conflict. The choices made now will echo for years to come. Clear rules and credible deterrence are essential. Without them, the risk of miscalculation grows. International agreements and strong institutions provide the guardrails that keep peace intact. Every treaty signed, every plan reviewed, is a step towards stability in a world that feels increasingly unpredictable. For citizens, this is not abstract. Alliances and global stability directly affect our security and prosperity. The headlines we see are not just distant events. They shape the safety of our neighborhoods, the strength of our economies, and the future we leave to our children. Our daily lives are intertwined with the decisions made on the world stage. We must stay informed, demand clarity from leaders, and reject complacency. Civic engagement is more important than ever. By participating in our democracies, holding officials accountable, and seeking out reliable information, we strengthen the foundations of our societies. The responsibility to safeguard peace and stability belongs to all of us. The future of the international order depends on choices made now. Will alliances adapt or fracture? The coming months and years will reveal whether cooperation can overcome division, and whether shared values can withstand the pressures of a changing world. The path we choose will define the era ahead. In a volatile world, vigilance and renewed commitment are more vital than ever. Only by remaining alert, united, and proactive can we hope to navigate the storms ahead and secure a safer, more stable future for all.